If they're dirty, I'm not keeping them. I'm not wiping them. You want to keep them if they're dirty?
Are you gonna?
Recording.
Oh, hi everyone. I am excited to see you guys. We're gonna wait just a couple of minutes for people to kind of trickle in. I am gonna put the attendance link in the chat so you guys can get credit for being here. There you go. Oops.
That's what she tried. I ain't gonna say she tried. Oh.
Wonder this, can we use our hand? All right, we're gonna give it another minute and then we'll get started because I want to be respectful of your time. So let me put the attendance link again. All right, it looks like this might be it. Just let people in as they trickle along. But hi, everyone. I hope you're having a good PD day and that you had some work time. I'm going to try to be respectful of your time and make sure we keep this brief and to the point. And then I will have office hours after. And I'm just going to ask for a little bit of grace. My computer is being a little bit difficult today, but hopefully it'll work out okay. All right. So this PD is all about ending our year strong with System44. It's kind of crazy that we're already thinking towards the end of the year, but also very exciting because we can really focus on what our students need to show the most amount of progress. By the time they take that last reading inventory and phonics inventory, so we can better decide what course of action we need to follow for next year. Since we have a couple new people, I'll put the attendance link in the chat again. Great. So my name is Julie Nichols. I hope that I've been able to share a PD with you guys before. This PD is starting now, obviously, and I will be on till 2 o'clock, but whenever we finish, feel free to log off, but I will still be on if you're doing some work time, you have some questions, whatever you need. All right. All right, so here is the sign in. I already put it in the chat. If you'd rather.
Is MHSC?
MHSC sign in. So you guys can either scan the QR code that takes you there too, or we can put it in the chat. All right. Great. All right. Awesome. So we'll move on. All right, so as I said, I've been able to share a PD with you all before. My name is Julie Nichols. This is my 5th year teaching at Harity, my 8th year teaching overall, and my 3rd year teaching System 44. However, my students really wanted to help me with this, so this PD is brought to you by them. Overall, I have 5 6th graders, 4 7th graders, and 4 8th graders in my class. We have a range of Lexile levels from BR to 365. We have 10 beginning decoders and 3 developing decoders. This is very exciting because we had 3 pre-decoders at the end of the year, but they've made progress, so that is awesome. Approximately 30% of my students are an anchor, so they also get that extra level support. And they're just wonderful, hilarious students that hopefully you'll be able to get to know a little bit through this PD. All right. And if there's any, I have my chat bubble open, so if there's any questions at any time during the PD, just feel free to chat it, and I'll try to keep the PD moving along, but also respond to those questions. All right, so we spent about 5 minutes getting ready, introducing ourselves. So I'm going to try to keep this about 45 minutes. We're just going to go through the rotations and different things that can help us really push our students to that next level. So we're going to go through the student software, independent reading, some different ways that we can do small group and gather some data. And then I'm just going to go over how I assess students. Unfortunately, I don't have a video for this. It was a little bit of a strange week in regards to we had half days for parent conferences, so we didn't have full classes, so I didn't feel comfortable giving my students their normal assessment. However, I will try to videotape our assessments next week and post those for you if you would like to see those. And then we'll do closing and survey. And then, as I said, I will be on here until 2, just being able to answer any questions that you have, but feel free to log off after then and just use some work time because I know we all need it. All right. And I did try to address a lot of these questions that we had. Thank you so much for filling out the survey for those of you who did. So I did try to include answers to all those questions. But again, if you have any questions at any point during the PD, just please let me know. All right. So we just want to ground ourselves in our mastery mission, that all our students learn the academic and personal skills they need to be truly prepared for post-secondary success and be able to pursue their dreams. We know that we have even more of an important job here, in my opinion, because we are working with the students who are really struggling to access material in their other classes. If we can help them with reading, the whole world opens up to them and they will be able to achieve their full potential. So just framing that, let's jump right into exploring the software that we have been using all year. So my friend Alex wanted to share with you guys a little bit about the software. So we're just gonna interview him. Oops, let me pause it. He is an 8th grader. I have had him since 6th grade, working in System 44, and we just got our map data back, and he has grown so much. It was so exciting to the point where maybe we will eventually recommend that he moves out, but he has the highest Lexile level in my class right now, and he was a BR reader and beginning decoder just last year. So this is very exciting, and he's going to share with you about System 44.
Our resident System 44 All-Star, who is currently on topic 14, series 14. Alex is just going to tell us a little bit about the different zones. So Alex, what is the smart zone?
The smart zone helps you basically go on your topic and continue. Well, start you off basically.
What is The spelling zone, Alex.
It's something that you have to start typing all the words that you started doing today,
Mm-hmm.
and then after you're done, you go on to the next stage.
And that's the fluency zone?
Yeah, they'll start going over the topics that you started doing, and help you learn the word more quickly, more better, and how to spell it. Oh, success. That's when you kept going and you kept getting good rates. So they started testing you higher and higher, so you can start moving on to more things that you know how to do.
All right, so that was Alex for you. You'll see him again. Great. So the way the software works is there's 4 zones in the code, which is the SMART zone, where they really just focus on phonemic awareness and letter sounds, the word zone, where the kids are identifying the words, spelling zone, they're spelling the words, they're actually typing them out. And the fluency zone is really building that automaticity with them. So if you see, every zone has different colors. The code is blue, sight words is purple, success is green. And your kids will get to writing later on. I just had a question about if the slides will be emailed out after this. Yes, Jen did say she was going to email everything out after. However, I am posting a link for resources in the chat, and the PowerPoint is also in there. So the reports that really help us understand what's going on can be found on SamWeb. If you need any support getting to SamWeb, please let me know. You go to Clever, the HMH portal, and then it is the orange button with the dog. So the first one is the daily usage report. I use this to make sure my kids are logged on and actually working. And as a part of their grade for the week, as if they're meeting their minutes. The grading report is also there, and that divides it up by topic and gives you their spelling and comprehension score, which is really helpful in planning for your small groups or just seeing what skills you need to target with kids. And then the reading progress report you run as a whole class, and you can see which topic your kids are on and their cumulative performance in the different areas. So it'll tell you overall they've got 60% of their comprehension questions right, but 80% of their spelling words right. So that is really useful. However, oh, I have a question. Does the software save progress for next year? What level of software do students tend to end up at the end of the year? It really depends. It does save from year to year. So as long as students have an account, it saves. Like I said, I've had kids for 3 years. And so they've been working on it since 6th grade. Now they're in 8th grade, and they've never had to restart or anything. And it really depends on the kid. We're actually going to go over some reports now that kind of show us how fast kids are moving through the program. All right. Great. All right. So the student software performance report is my favorite report to use for giving information about small group and just seeing what skills I need to target with my kids. It gives them information about time per topic. So I have found that the daily usage report isn't always accurate with the time spent. I'll be watching a kid, sitting with a kid, seeing their screen, seeing them move through and for a whole class period. And then at the end, it'll say they have 0.4 minutes. So this performance report updates pretty quickly. And we'll tell you how long the kid's been on the topic. So if you check that, you can make sure they're still moving through. It tells you how they're doing with their sound challenges and their word challenges and their spelling challenges. Because I have some kids who are really great at identifying words and knowing their sounds, but when it comes to spelling, they really struggle. And so that helps me know that's something I need to target with them. Also gives us information about comprehension for those comprehension passages, which is very important. So it gives us a high overview of information and just helps us plan. And you can also run it for the full year, so you can see how many topics they've completed over the year. So what we are going to do now is actually look at these reports. So I'll post that resource link in the chat again. because there is a folder within that folder of student software performance reports. And so you guys can look through 3 of those. I chose 3 different specific students who are all kind of functioning at different levels within the program and different levels of success. So you guys can look through that. I'm just going to give you guys 2 minutes to look through that. And just let me know anything that you noticed. You can put it in the chat. While you're looking through that, I see a question here about what's the average amount of time a student will spend per topic. It really depends on the kid, but across the board, for me, what I've seen is about 20 to 30 minutes per rotation. Sometimes kids need to do it more than one time. So I'm just gonna put on a quick timer. So I give you guys just a second to look through that. If anybody has any takeaways or anything they would like to share or any questions about that, please post them in the chat. And then I will go over these reports and how I analyze them. If anybody has a hard time finding it, please let me know if I need to repost the link. I also sent that link in an email ahead of today's PD. All right, just about 30 more seconds. All right. So for the first example, it's labeled number 1. If anybody has anything they notice, please put it in the chat now. But this is my student who is actually our my lowest reader across both my sections. And he is a wonderful child. So when I look at this, I'm seeing he's putting in a lot of time on the program. He's really working hard when he's supposed to be doing his System44. He is. But I'm also noticing he's not moving very fast through the program because he's having to do topics multiple times. If you guys see that, there's attempt 1, 2, 3. Sometimes he's passing them on the first try, but even when he is passing them on the first try, it's taking him longer. It's taking him an hour to an hour and a half. So I'm looking at this and I'm seeing, okay, he's really struggling with his sound still, and he's still struggling with his basic words. His spelling is actually a little bit better, but knowing him, I'm knowing, okay, he needs to practice his sounds. He needs to practice his words. So the plan I make for him is that we're going to really be working on simple words and that phonemic awareness, and knowing where our, just knowing what our sounds are is going to be a big deal for him. And just trying to be aware that frustration might come into play because he is doing multiple topics at a time. So also I do conferences with my kids every Friday, and just some independent one-on-one, and knowing that I may need to sit with him with some topics and try to help him get over those and do some more explicit instruction. I have a question. How many days do I teach lessons? I teach lessons every day. I do rotations of either 15 minutes or 20 minutes, depending on the day and what we need to get done. But I only do small group. I only have my kids for 45 minutes. So my kids will do a 15-minute small group lesson with me, 15 minutes on the program, and 15 minutes of independent reading. I hope that answered your question. Sorry, my computer is again being a little silly. All right, so this is the second one I pulled. This is actually Alex, who you met earlier. And you can see he's moving through the program pretty quickly. So he's also had to do a couple topics multiple times. But if you scroll down his report, he started at either series 9 or 10 at the beginning of this year. And now he's at 14. So he could realistically get to topic 19 or 20 by the end of the year. But it does look like he has some subjects he needs to review. For example, he needs to review changing Y to I, maybe some of his sight words. I do know because of his phonics inventory that sight words are a struggle for him. And just looking at the ones that he's had to spend more time on, it seems like Y in general is just a little bit difficult for him. But overall, it seems like he's not really doing sounds as much because he isn't farther in the program. He's good at recognizing the words, but spelling is a big weakness for him, and comprehension is also not where we want it to be. So for him, even though he is advanced in the program, I'm putting him with groups that are basically reviewing something he's already learned, because clearly we still have some deficits there. But I am putting him on decodable digest passages that are higher because we want to practice that comprehension and still practice those skills. So when I'm working with him one-on-one or designing his program one-on-one, he is doing some review and scaffolding, but also going through the higher series. Great. So no worries if you're just coming in. I'll make sure I post the attendance link again. Great. So here is our last example. So this student is actually doing very well. She's been moving through the program very quickly, and making a lot of progress. And she's pretty much passing her subjects on the first try, and doing pretty well, averaging between 30 and 45 minutes to complete a subject. However, she does have one subject that she's struggling with, and it looks like it's 2 3-letter blends. And so we know that that's something we're going to need to review. And that's actually something a lot of my kids need to review. So I know that I'm going to want to do a small group with her in that. And I'm also going to want to actually put her with people who are on higher levels in the program, because it looks like she's ready for that, that she's really moving quickly through the program and that she is ready for harder content, and that we want to push her as much as possible because we want to make sure our kids are learning the most they can, no matter where they are, because the ultimate goal is we want to get them out of reading intervention and on grade level. Great. So I've had some questions about keeping students accountable. You can provide incentives. I know some teachers who will provide incentives for meeting a certain number of topics completed in a report period or a certain amount of time. My incentive is very easy. You would not think stickers would be so successful with 6th through 8th graders, but my kids are very excited about putting their stickers on when they complete a subtopic. Even my 14-year-olds, as soon as they finish, they're like, I need my sticker. I got to put it up. So something as simple as that, so kids can track their progress, and know that, and actually see how fast they're moving, does help them. However, something else I do, I used to do minutes for their grade for the week, however minutes they do, but now I'm making a requirement that students finish a sub-step a week. And if they don't, I either have them do office hours, or I kind of go in and of course make exceptions where it's needed if they're really struggling. But this kind of helps them move through the program a little bit more quickly. For my students, like that first one I showed you, I count one attempt as following a sub-step a week, because he might need to do it multiple times. So there are about, I think 6 to 8 sub-steps per series. So like kids will be on like 5.1 learning S blends, pardon me about the bell. And then 5.2 would be R blends, 5.3 would be other blends. All right, so wait, I have a couple of questions about what is a sub-step. All right, I'm sorry if I haven't made that clear. So a sub-step is just, so there are 25 series in System 44 focusing on different skills. However, within each one of those series is a sub-step. So when you run your reports, it'll say like a kid is on 1.5 and it'll say next to them what phonics skill they are learning. It'll say like 1.7 and say they're learning sight words. So a sub-step is just where they are in the program. Does that make sense? If you could give me a little more context, I can also send you a link at the end of the time from last time that shows you where to find that on the report. You can find that on the student's software performance report, which goes through SamWeb. I hope that made it a little bit more clear. I'm sorry if that was confusing. And to find the student software performance report, you go to HMH portal, SamWeb, stay on the whole class and click on, don't stay on the whole class, sorry, specific student. And then the student software performance report. You can either run it for just this report period or the full year. I also just put it in the chat. All right, great. I hope that was clear. I'm sorry if it wasn't. Again, if you have questions, I'll be on at the end. We can help you a little bit more targeted. All right, so we're gonna move on to independent reading, which I know is probably the hardest station to monitor and help kids with because it is independent and requires some higher level skills. So the process is they read, they complete the reading log, and there are graphic organizers online that I love. I would say as you're really helping your kids get into independent reading, you kind of work up to that. Certain of my kids always have to do the graphic organizer. Some of them, we just have them do the reading log. But then they can take the quiz on their platform. There's on the left-hand side, there's an independent reading button, and they can find ebooks there. And they can click on their book and actually take a quiz that shows if they've understood and comprehended the material. And so for me to count a book as finished, the students must pass the quiz. So as you guys can see on my screen, we track how many books they've done per report period. I'm aiming for about 4 or 5 with each one of my kids. With other ones, obviously doing more, already meeting that goal. But yeah, once they pass the quiz and they hand in their reading log, we move their name up on their number. All right, so if you all don't know how to do the reading log, Jalen is going to just give you a little bit of information. He has the reading log in front of him. Jalen has finished 5 books this report period. He's doing a great job. And he really likes reading. So he is going to be a kid that I introduce the graphic organizers to next to really enforce those higher level comprehension skills.
All right, hi Jalen. Thank you for telling us about how to do independent reading. Can you tell us what the first thing is that you do on this worksheet?
The first thing that you need to do is write a sentence using each word that you can find.
Okay, show me the page where those words are found.
Right here.
Oh, they're right there. Where else are they though?
And also the caption,
The front,
smart word page.
on the smart word page, thank you. Where do you find, what do you do at the bottom where it says the during reading right here?
You answer each question on the line below.
Where do you find it?
You can find them. You can find them here during the text.
Good. And what do you have to do after you finish the book? There's something on the back.
What you do after you finish the book is rate the book.
You rate the book. What else do you have to do with these questions?
Also has to,
Where are those questions?
the questions,
The reread question and the after reading questions. Where do you find those?
On the very last page of the book.
Good.
On the,
On these ones.
on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side.
Thank you. And what do you do after you finish this? Where do you go to find what's the last thing you need to do before you can move up your number of
You need
books?
to go on, you need to go on the independent reading app and take the quiz.
Perfect. Thank you.
Right, so that was Jalen. You'll also see him again later.
All right, hi.
There we go. All right, so as I did mention though, reading is hard. Also, if you don't have a library, I know I've talked to some of you guys that don't have the physical copies of the books. Students can find all their books on their student portal under independent reading. It'll actually be broken up by Lexile level, so they can find it there and they can do ebooks. Yes, this is my student's aide. He was just modeling for me. But as I said, reading is probably the hardest station to monitor and really help with. So my first period class are my younger students, and they are much lower when it comes to reading. So they really struggle to do it on their own. So what we do for the ones who need it is they do buddy reading. They really enjoy working together. They can sit next to each other, and they fill out one organizer for me. And I either do the quiz with them, or we excuse the quiz for that, because it is a little bit difficult for some of our kids who are still just working on their sounds. There's also a read aloud option on the student app. I'm going to post a video of one of my students showing you where to find it on the app. And this is really beneficial for students. Some of the students, we want to develop more independence because they can follow along in the book and really start working on that word recognition. But it also enforces listening comprehension, which is actually a huge part of reading comprehension. So if students are having a hard time with that, I would recommend having them do the read aloud listening part. And if your kids are still having a hard time, it can be a good idea to do a focused small group on it once a week. I've done this with some of my kids so that we really focus on reading comprehension. And we can also just go over the process again for how to do it so they can eventually develop independence and do it on their own. All right. So do I give actual grades for the independent reading log, graphic organizer, and the quiz? And how do I grade it when one student reads 7 books and another one reads 3? So my students at the beginning of our report period, we set goals for how many books they can read. And I either just put in extra grades for when they do read more books. But most of them just have the goal that I know they can reach and they know they can reach and they're pushing towards. So like Jalen is trying to read 10 books this report period. Sienna has already read 7, so she's going to 15 because she thinks she can do it. On the other hand, Qasim he's struggling with it, so he wants to get to 5. So I grade kids based off their individual goals that we give them. And I do grade the independent reading log and graphic organizer to make sure that it's done because sometimes kids rush through it. So I do definitely grade that. And if they pass the quiz, I put in a grade. If they don't pass it, I don't put in a grade because I don't want to penalize them for trying. It's more of a completion grade and an effort grade for independent reading than anything else. I hope that answered your question. All right. So you can also find a report for the independent reading. So here you can see how successful the kids are being on their independent reading. You can find this report by going to HMH, clicking on the button all the way to the right that says Teacher Central, and clicking on the independent reading button on the left of that. So this shows you who is reading and who isn't. Makai is new to my class, so he does not have any books. Same thing with Brianna. Qasim, as I said, is struggling to really be focused on reading, so he also does not have any books. So as we're looking at this, we're seeing the books that they're reading, and how successful they are at quizzes. Alex has taken 14 quizzes. He is trying really hard, but that's letting me know that we do need to work on his comprehension, that he is not understanding everything he's read for the first time, or we need to practice taking tests, or something of that nature. Same thing with Cornet. We need to really get her to slow down, and we're going to focus on comprehension because they are both higher readers, so they are reading harder books, but we still need to make sure they're comprehending what they're reading. Jalen, on the other hand, is doing great. He's passed every quiz he's taken. So this is actually a really useful report. I would recommend running it, just so you can kind of know where your students are at. Oops. All right, so we're going to get into small group, and just go over some of the things you can do in there. I'm sure some of this is going to be review for you guys, so just bear with me. But hopefully you can still find it a little bit helpful. So for small group, if you're working on sounds, the code, what they're learning in actual System44, the RDI book is great. It's online. Hopefully you guys also have physical copies. I prefer to use my physical copy. And if you don't, please talk to your APSS about getting one. So these lessons are really detailed. They can take anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes, depending on how detailed you want to get. I'm going to show an example. I had to cut out a lot to get it down to about 8 minutes, so I wouldn't bore you guys too much. But it really enforces doing multi-sensory and different ways of reviewing the material so that kids really do grasp it in a different way. Also with basically all of the sounds, they provide vocabulary extension and ideas, which the kids really love doing. And if anybody's interested, I can film one of those lessons and post it as well. If you guys want to follow along with the lesson, this diagraph TH1, I posted it in the resources that I sent out on the email and put in the chat, and you can find it and kind of follow along where we're at. All right, so we are just going to play that really quick.
All right, we're starting. All right, so we're gonna work on the sound today. I'm gonna list you a couple of words and I want you to tell me what sound it's gonna be. Think, them, think, thirsty. What sound do all of those have in common? Okay. Where's the way, okay? Think, thirsty, that. And what does TH say, Jaden? Jaden, you sound just like Sienna. What does TH say? Yes, good. Can you guys think of any words where TH ends in? That's the beginning. So where TH is the end of the word. Like tooth or the class that you have next. Math. Good. Rat. I'm gonna give you guys the word that sounds ick. I-C-K. C-K with the TH going before or after? You guys both got it. What's that word? Think. Try it again. Is it thick? Think. Thick. Think as an ink right there. Good. Let's see. I'm gonna give you guys IRST. That one's hard, but you guys have done one, so you should be able to figure that out. R-S-T. This one might be a little bit hard to read, but I want you guys to try it. Thirst. It'll be THIRST. Good job. All right, awesome. So, do you guys remember what TH, SH, DH, DK are called? It's up there. What'd you say? You said it right. What was it? Love that you guys both know that. Makes me really happy. All right, yes, they are digraphs. What are digraphs? Two different words. How many sounds do they make? One sound. Good. All right, we're gonna draw our boxes, okay? I want at least 5 boxes, so you can either divide them up like drawing lines down, or you can divide them up like this. But I want them across. Oh, we need the eraser. Here you go. I'm gonna do mine like this.
I do not really that.
That is creative looking. All right, so we're gonna have 1 sound per box. So how many boxes is one diagraph gonna take up? It's gonna take up 2 boxes or 1 box? 1 box. 1 box, right? Because how many sounds is it?
1.
1, good. The first one, should we start with, we're gonna start with an easy one and then we'll go to the tricky one. All right, the first word is thin.
Thin.
Thin. Thin, like it's not a fat stack of papers, it's thin. 1 sound per box. Oh, we have a lot of the same letters in this next word, and it only has, you're only gonna need 3 boxes for it. Okay, the word is thick. 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 You're very close. You're adding an
Should have.
thick. There's 3 boxes. You're gonna take 3 boxes because there's only 3 sounds. Good. Thick. Good. Why are there only 3 sounds?
It's only, it's 2, diagraph.
2 diagrams. Excellent. Yeah. All right. All right. Now I'm gonna give you guys a different thing. Let me erase mine. We're gonna spread out our letters, and we're gonna start with the word tank. All right.
Show me our touch.
All right, we're gonna start with the word tank. All right, so we've got tank here. What happens if we put an H, if we change that T to the diagram TH? What does that word become?
Think.
Tank, good. What about if I give you the word, you guys can write it down. I give you the word hat. If we change that T to a TH, what does the word become?
Hat.
Hat. Good, Jaden, I want you to do this next one for me, okay? Tin, we change the T to diagraph TN. You can write it down, Sienna, but I want Jaden to tell me what it is.
Wait, which is that?
Tin, not 10, tin. Eh. Good, Jaden. Tin, oh, tin. What's the word? What's that word, bud? Read it with the diagraph. Thin, good job. All right, this one's hard, okay? So if you don't get it, that's okay. But I want you guys to try it because you guys have been doing blends. So you are going to change the word tent, and you're gonna change this last T to the diagraph. All right, you're gonna change the last T to the diagraph. Tent. Use tent in a sentence for me, Sienna.
I went to my friend's 10th birthday.
Good. I'm gonna give you guys these words, all right? These are flip chart. What I want you to do though is circle all the THs in this first target words thing. Just circle all the THs. Good job. I see you guys doing that. All right. We all got THs. All right, Sienna, can you read the first 3 going down? So 1, 2, 3.
Then.
Read this one going down, but. Good. Somebody read the last column for me.
This one?
Yeah, that one's the hardest one because it has some blends in it. Good. Grill. Thumb.
And math.
Good.
All
All right. I'm gonna choose a couple of words from the flip chart. So I'm actually gonna take these away and see if you guys can do them sound by sound, all right? Okay. You ready? Find your THJ then. The first one is going to be cloth. Let's start with a tricky one, with a blend. Cloth. All right. Oh, that's very easy. Yeah, if you're looking at it. I'm done. All right, we got our first, both of you guys got the first sound right. I good, cover yours. Oh, good. You got the blend right? I get it correct. Oh, that's the way I missed. The first one is I will help them with math. I want you to write it down and I want you to underline the TH. I will help them with math. I will help them with math. Last one, there are 10 things on the shelf. There are 10 things on the shelf. Oh. Okay.
All right. Great. So we did a couple of things there. So I had them just introduce it. Then I had them do some work on whiteboards. Then we moved to reading, then we moved to magnet boards, and then we moved to dictation. So in that resources folder that I sent to you guys, all the flip charts are there. So a word list for every single subtopic. Anything you could need is in there that you can use in small group. And then I also linked the dictation page. So that is a great way to assess students. And we didn't decide to use that for this small group because we had just introduced TH. But if you're assessing them at the end and you want to see if they've really learned it, you can do a full, you can use that dictation page and use it as a piece of data and assessment. All right. That's the longest video, I promise. All right, great. So another thing I just want to show you guys is the sight words protocol. It's really important, but it's really easy to do. You can do multiple words a day or just one, it depends. So the first thing is you review what sight words are, you introduce the words, you check the spelling patterns, and then you use the word in a sentence to engage students. My personal choice is I have students practice writing the word from memory and in sentences. And then you can have students test one another. And this works best if you're doing multiple words a day or a couple words over the week. So we're just gonna watch a quick 2-minute video of my kiddos doing the sight word protocol with me. And please forgive the angle. I had a couple kids who wanted to try to film and they liked this angle.
So words are words, you just have to know by looking at them. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do 1 today. Tell me if you guys know what this word is. Again. What does again mean?
Like,
Doing something all over. Do it over and over and over. Yeah, like another time. Okay, good. So, like I said, this one doesn't make sense, right? Because this kind of sounds like, what vowel does that sound like? Again, if we were spelling it like it made sense. Be like again. Again. Maybe even like an E, again. The A and the I are a different thing, but that's how, that's not the vowel that we would expect it to be. So what does make sense in this word though? Which letters make sense? N, good, what else? The A. What about this one? Does this make it right now? Do you make good? Yeah. All right, so again, this is what we're gonna have to remember, okay, when we're spelling it, is that it's AI. All right, awesome. We're gonna practice doing that. Can you write again from memory? No, write it down. No,
A.
you already did. Okay, write it down. from memory.
A.
No, write it down, give everybody else a chance. Remember the letters that make sense. We have 3 letters that make sense and 2 that we have to remember.
Hold on.
A.
All right, cover it. Make sure everybody matches. Go ahead.
I got it.
Good. Use it in a sentence for me.
Right?
Yes, I couldn't read that word. All right, make sure that you guys are writing full complete sentences with a capital letter and a period. Showing off yours.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to show off theirs to the camera? All right, what's your sentence, Samaya?
I got in the shower again.
Okay, so why would you need to get in the shower again?
I'm sweaty.
Another time, because again, is another time.
Oh, really?
What did you have to do again?
So I said was I start my test again
Why would you have to start your test again another time?
because like if I like I don't know like if I like fell or something but I just
Good, love it. Alex,
I have class again,
okay, why would you say I have class again?
but I have class.
Every day, over and over, right?
yeah.
All right.
All right, so some of the things you might have noticed in there that I actually chose a word that all of them have spelled wrong in an assessment on the past. So I knew that they didn't know how to spell it, even though they could read it. So I figured that would be a good word to target in small group with them. I also had them review the meaning of it multiple times, just to kind of get stuck in their heads. That's why I asked them to write sentences. That's why I asked follow-up questions about it. Kids also, as you could tell, they were giggling. They had fun. So that's really important because we know our kids get tested on sight words on the phonics inventory. I also posted the full list of sight words from the RDI book in the resources tab, so you guys can look at that. Those are the words I target because those are some of the words that they test, and those are the most common words that our kids are going to see as they're reading. So if you don't know where to start with sight words, the protocol is, as I went over, is in the folder, as well as the list of sight words on the last page of the protocol. You can also find it on page 532 of your RDI book. All right, so the last thing we're going to do is me working on my kids with nonsense words, because we know that nonsense words are also tested. And this is where a lot of my kids struggle. Most of our goals, our big goals for the year, are getting our nonsense words accuracy up. So my 2 boys on the left really have shown me that they need this. Alex just wanted to hang out, so I let him be in this one as well. But you're going to see that they still really need some review with their phonemic awareness and the letters and the sounds they make. And for this one, we decided to use magnet boards so that they could practice finding the words within the alphabet and physically moving them. So this will be our last video.
Do DOSH, and then somebody read it for me.
DOSH.
DOSH. Your boards.
S.
Yes, you do.
Dash.
Dosh, is that a real word?
No,
How'd you read that though? Have you ever heard anybody say dosh before?
no.
How'd you read it?
But you
Yes, so it makes sense though. So you can sound out nonsense words, okay? So some words that we don't know sound like nonsense words. That doesn't mean that they're not real words, but if we know how to spell nonsense words, then we craft it out, then we can spell it. All right, so we're just gonna practice, spelling some words that we might not have heard. I'm gonna do easy ones and then I'm gonna do blends, okay? So the easy ones first are, you can put those back, it's gonna be wrong, easy, wrong, as quick as you can.
Wrong?
Rum. Listen to each sound, rum.
Where's W? I don't see a W.
I have to use.
Like this?
Listen to each sound, okay?
Oh.
Good. All right, perfect, easy. All right, without me sounding it out for you, you're gonna do, gum. Without me sounding it out, I'm not saying which sound it is. It's gonna be gum.
Dot?
Gum.
Dot?
Gum rhymes with top. So if you know how to spell top, you can know how to spell gum, rhyming words. Good. All right, awesome. Change that to gup. I'll change it to gup.
I don't have a U.
That's cool.
Oh.
You do have use, both of you have to.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
Gup. How many sounds do we hear in gup?
3.
Yeah.
Oh.
So how many tiles do we have?
Oh.
Got 3. Good. Gup. Gup. Change gup to zup. Blend, it's gonna be snet. Net, like rhymes with bet.
Oops. All right, well, that paused, but I'm sure you guys get the idea. All right, so in the last 5 to 10-ish minutes, some of you guys had questions about assessments. So I put in the resources, the personal form I use for assessments. It's individualized for every kid. So Monday through Thursday, I do rotations and lessons with the kids. And then on Friday, they have time to make up their minutes or their books while I pull each of them individually to assess them based on their goals for the week. So the first thing that I do is a fluency check using the Decodable Digest or 44 book. So I think those resources are also in that folder. So I pick whatever topic they're working on, find the matching passage, and then I have them read it and I time their correct words per minute to kind of know where they're at. I also give each of my kids sight words once a week based on their previous assessments. And then based on what they're working on in their program, I look at the flip charts and find some target words and grade them on that. Then I just take notes in the last column about things that we need to review with them, things they did well, anything that's going to help me plan for next week. I do want to provide a caveat here. My classes are small. My biggest class is 8, and my smallest class is now 5. So I can do a lot more individualization than some of you guys with much larger classes. If I were you, I would give kids all the same sight words for the week, and then just differentiate the phonics words and the reading passages if you chose to go this route and do weekly assessments. But yeah, it's really useful for my kids. They get really excited when they realize they got all of their words right for the week. And they're all very invested in trying to get their correct words per minute up. It's just a good way to engage kids in their learning. So yeah, just wanted to drive home that reading fluency is really important to test and assess. I'll make sure those are in the resources folder, but you can use this with anything. If you're using the 44 book, sometimes I test reading fluency and use the rubric for that. Use the Decodable Digest, the success passages, whatever you would like, whatever you want to give them, you can test their reading fluency on. And I usually go over this with the kids. So I'm like, hey, your pace was great. But your phrasing could use a little work. Like you're saying word by word, it's a little choppy, but so we want to work on that next time. Sometimes I give them another chance to fix it. And yeah, kids love doing fluency. All right, so another way that you can assess kids is through dictation, like I said. So this can be done for higher level exit tickets or assessments. So after they finished a step, seeing where they're at, using those flip charts to find either words or sentences that you can test the kids on and get some data. Also, you can use the 44 book rubric to see where there's room for growth. So I included a rubric that I filled out for a unit that we recently completed. I apologize, I did some math wrong on the back, so there's some scribbling out. But it goes through each part of the 44 book if you guys are using that. And you can give them a grade on their rubric, make notes, and then use that to set goals for your kids on the next module if you are using that book. Another reason why it's good is just showing kids like, hey, you would have gotten a higher score, but you didn't fully complete this part. So it does encourage completion. The reason this one is also in the resources folder, as is the assessment form, so you can look at the example. I chose this student because she is really ready for next level text evidence. And so that's going to be our big push with her. And that's what I noticed in assessing her. So her skill that she needs to work on was very clear. All right. So these were just some miscellaneous questions, and then we're going to wrap up. So like I said, the daily usage report is sometimes inaccurate. So you can check the software performance report for more accurate time spent on the software if you are also finding that. To make sure that your kids are actually working through the program, and just have that double check there. So I did have a question about how were Lexile levels calculated. I unfortunately don't know exactly how they decide. I've had students who've taken 10 question quizzes and got a 200 Lexile, and I've had kids who've taken 15 or 20 and gotten a lot right, but still scored BR. So, but what does help me is on SamWeb, you can find the student test printout for the questions and the answers for the specific reading inventory. So you can see where the gaps are. So for example, one of my students, her decoding is great, but her comprehension isn't up there. And that really showed me that even with smaller sentences, she's struggling with comprehension. Or for some kids, I could tell like, oh, you just didn't know what that word meant or didn't know how to decode that word. So that's a skill I want to work on with you. And just a recommendation, somebody asked about how to stay organized. I have a huge binder with a tab for each one of my kids, and I put their assessments in there and their rubrics. So I can look back and really plan effectively for the class. It's just a suggestion. You don't have to do it. But it does help keep me organized. All right. Do I ever have tech issues with the program? Yes. So unfortunately, sometimes I have to like scream at the program to get the sound to work. But definitely connect with tech about that. Sometimes we just have to have a backup plan, right? Like, okay, you're just doing independent reading today. And I have a question about dissecting the report, and I will stay on after if you don't mind, and we can work on that together. All right, so we're at closing, guys. So just next steps. I would review your students' performance on the software, check in on their independent reading, and start planning for some purposeful small groups. We've got a whole half year left. Kids can make a whole ton of progress. So really getting focused now is going to be huge. And I would recommend just giving a quick assessment, whether it's a fluency check, whether it's dictation. You can use the form that I gave out and just using the data. And yeah, if you ever need anything, I'd love to help. So that's my email. This presentation is in the resources folder, which I will post one more time. So if you guys don't know my email, you can look back in the PowerPoint. Also, my name is spelled wrong on the link. There's no H. All right. And last things, final piece of housekeeping, if you guys wouldn't mind taking the survey, that would be super, super helpful. You can scan the QR code. I'm also going to exit out of this and stop sharing my screen just for a second and put in the link for the survey so that you can just give me some feedback. I really, really appreciate it. I really appreciate those of you who gave it to me last time so I can know how to better help. All right, let me just make sure I send that to everyone. All right, great. So thank you guys so much for coming. Please just fill out the survey if you have a minute, but otherwise enjoy some work time. And I'll go over right now how to access the software performance report if you guys would be interested in that. Other than that, have a great day and have a great weekend. Go Birds. All right, so I'm going.
Hi, Julie. I'm going to stick around. I'm the one that had all the questions.
Yeah.
I do know how to access the report. I just think I need a little bit of help, like really understanding it and
Okay.
like how to incentivize like daily sessions, because all I'm doing right now, which isn't working at all, is like having my daily usage report from HMH, not from Sam. And then it's the same thing, like you said, like they'll be on it for a good like 20 minutes and it still says like 0.4.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not like working out. Yeah, but it's just the student performance report, which I've been trying to understand. I just don't know how to like use it for like incentivization, because it's not as clear cut as like an iReady report, for example, where it's like, okay, lessons completed, lesson passed, and that's it.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to share one with me and we can dissect it, or do you want me to share an example?
I can share one with you that I have up. I don't think I
Okay,
can
let
share
me-
my screen.
Yeah,
yet.
let me give you permission. All right,
Okay.
you're good now.
Thank you.
Problem.
So this is a third grader I have. I don't teach him. He's just on my caseload, but he is someone who is, you know, not really making any progress on his phonics inventory. So I'm trying to see if I can incentivize like his daily, you know, student app usage.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is for the whole year.
Yes, this is, so you ran it for the whole, yeah, he started at 1-1. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's new to the program in general.
Yes.
All right. Is he, do you mind me asking what his disability category is?
He's ED,
Okay.
but I think there might be some autism there too.
Gotcha. Okay, so it actually looks like he's doing pretty well with the program. His spelling is pretty good. His comprehension is pretty good as well. And he's moving through it pretty quickly. Does he respond to any type of incentives or anything?
He does, which is what I was trying to figure out. Like, I mean, because I have a teaching caseload and a compliance caseload.
Yeah.
This is a compliance kid who I
Yeah.
don't teach. So I'm trying to like do something every Friday for him, you know, like depending on how many lessons he completes per week. I just don't know how to read the report in a way that like,
Yeah.
oh, he's done what he's supposed to do.
So yeah, unfortunately, it's not as clear cut as iReady, because the subtopics do take a longer time. Like I said, they
Right.
take like 20 to 40 minutes, which is, but I think he can do them faster. I'm looking at his like early consonants and he's moving through those like 12 and 13 minutes. Does he have a class with System44?
They're doing RDI in his class.
They don't give him any time on the program?
I mean, they're supposed to. I am gonna check in with that teacher. She was on this Zoom call as well.
Okay.
And she would do whatever, you know, her and I discussed. I just want to go in there kind of armed with some knowledge as to how to read this report. Like,
Yeah.
I honestly, like, I don't even know what the difference is between series and topic. Like, what is cycles to mastery? Like, what does total time mean? Like total time on the entire topic, or just like, I just don't understand any of these.
All right. So I will try my best to break this down for you.
Sorry.
No, I'm still constantly learning. Everything I've learned is self-taught. So I'm trying.
Well, I mean, another question I had was like, is there like a dummy account that we can use
Oh, that's a great
to
idea.
go through this ourselves and see like what this actually looks like from a student's perspective?
If you want to stay on, I can pull up a kid and we can look at his stuff, and go through and just kind of look at it really quickly.
Okay.
But yeah, so the series and topic, so like each series is based on like a higher level phonics category. So like the first one is basically all the most common consonants.
Okay.
So everything that starts with a 1 is common consonants. And then the topic is the point number, the number that comes after the decimal, and it's just more
Gotcha.
specific about what it's doing. So he's actually almost done with series 1. I
Mhm.
think, no, I actually think this is the last one in series 1. I think that actually there might be one more. But cycles to mastery, based on that topic progress monitoring score, they kind of give a more of assessment type thing. It's kind of snuck in there at the end of their topic, and if they don't pass, he needs to redo it again. So for example, on short A, he didn't pass, he got a 29%.
Mhm.
So he needed to redo that whole topic again because he did not pass. So that's what it means from cycles till mastery. With all the other ones, he got it right away, he didn't need to redo it at all.
And so what do all these NAs, like, is it
So-
that, yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, so the NAs, so like for 1.1 and 1.2, they're literally just doing sounds. They're not really doing any words or spelling. So there you
Yeah.
can't score for that if you're not being tested on that, because the program gets more complex as it goes. So as you see, they start getting he starts getting spelling words, but he
Mhm.
doesn't start doing comprehension until 1.6. There's no passages, or they're not even
I
assessed.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as it goes on, sentence dictation doesn't come till way later. So he won't get towards that. Yeah, and as you see with sight words like the sound challenge, there is none there
Right.
because it doesn't apply. So,
So
NA
then,
not tested.
right. So would you say that it would be reasonable to expect kids to finish up to 2 topics per typical week?
I would say, depending on how much time they have, I do 1 with my kids. Because if
1
it's
topic per week.
yes, because just my classes are short, and sometimes
Right.
we don't get to all the rotations. Sometimes we choose to do 2 rotations a day. So I try to provide at least 45 minutes for them to be on the program, and that's enough time to complete a topic, or at least to attempt at the topic.
Okay, I'll check in with that teacher because our groups are big enough to be split in 2. So the rotations works in such a way that like a teacher's doing a lesson while another group has an entire 45-minute period to do the student app.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
so if he
potentially-
has, depending, I would say like, just based on where he's at, I would say 45 minutes is definitely enough time for him to complete a topic. For some reason, ending S is really hard for kids.
Mhm.
So that he has more time on that is fine. But I would say he can, if he has per 45 minutes, he should complete 1 topic.
Okay,
1 to
okay,
2
that's good to know.
topics. Yeah.
So is it possible to pull this particular report on a daily basis? Like,
Yeah, you can pull it whenever. It doesn't unfortunately give you a date. For like, I wish it was like iReady
Mm.
where it gave you like date started, date ended. Unfortunately, it does not have that. Let me see if there's any other reports that do have that. I don't think there is. Unfortunately. HMA
Yeah.
isn't the most user friendly I found.
I know I'm sorry, it just drives me crazy.
No, like it's taken me 3 years to like get to a good point with System44.
I mean, I've been using it for a while as well as just being a case manager. Like they always prioritize doing case management stuff. So I never get to come to any of these PDs that talk about
Like actually
like how to like, yeah, read the reports and how does the inventory work and things like that.
Yeah, let me see what,
Oh, I'm still sharing my screen, sorry.
you can keep sharing if you want.
Yes, I don't know if you saw, like, I just pulled, let's say, the same software performance report for like custom dates, and it says no data. Oh, wait, maybe I pulled the wrong report. Never
Oh,
mind,
yeah,
sorry.
no, I didn't even think of that. Let me think. Okay, I know Anthony was on this week a lot, so let me see about that. We'll do between 7 and 9. Yeah, it's still not gonna give you a specific. Yeah, no,
Okay.
no, it does come up, so. If you do specific dates,
Yeah,
see, so, but it will tell you even if they're in the middle of a topic, it'll have a little mark there that it's a little plus sign that will say like, oh, they started this before the date that you had. But like within the, I'll share my screen real quick.
yeah.
I did this for Wednesday through or Tuesday through Thursday since we didn't have kids today.
Mhm.
And like he was working on S blends, but he barely started consonants. So that tells me that he actually did finish a topic this week, so he's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, if our kids are getting access to the student app, I guess I would say twice a week, would it be a reasonable expectation that they finish 2 topics per week?
I
If
think
they're getting
so.
a full 45-minute block?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Or at least, like I said, at least a cycle of it. Cause like I said, I have some kids who are so low that they really, really try, but they spend 45
yeah,
minutes cycle and don't pass.
but it'll still say, like, even if they don't pass, like, it'll say like a, 29% in the progress column. But
Yeah.
it'll tell me that they still they still completed the cycle, but they didn't pass
Yes,
it.
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, pulling it for specific weeks. I track where my kids are every week, so I know what topic they need to be finishing, but this is
yeah,
your way for you to do it, especially since you don't teach him.
yeah. I mean, there's kids that I do teach, so I can do the same thing for them as well. So, all right. This is definitely very helpful. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
Of course. If you need anything else, just let me know.
Yes, I'll definitely probably utilize your email and we'll be reaching out.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, somebody just left. Okay, bye.
Bye.